My dear YouTube friends, welcome to my channel. I'm very excited to see all of you, and I'm very excited to conduct an interview today for the very first time. This is an experiment. I'm looking into conducting interviews with people who chase dreams. That's the general theme of these interviews. So today, I would like to introduce you to my brand new and very good friend, Monica.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here.
Hi, I'm so excited to have you. So Monica, tell us a little bit about your dream.
All right, so I've had a dream recently to start a campaign, and the purpose of this campaign is to affirm the dignity of human life. I think that there's a strange thing happening. We as human beings are confused about the dignity and the value of our own lives. It's kind of a bizarre thing to happen, I think, and it's very widespread. Some things I've noticed is that a lot of people think that their own human life is disposable, or they use their lives to take advantage of other people. There's a million things like that in which they cut down the dignity of their own human life and the human lives around them. My dream is to facilitate a change of attitude towards human life. Think of it like changing the lenses that you see through. The best way that I think this should be done is to raise a community of storytellers. I have all these truths to offer, and so many people that have these truths to offer about the value of human life. But it needs to be done in a beautiful way, in a compelling way, and in a way that you can see that it's tangible as well as true. And so I want to raise up a community of storytellers who will go out and tell their personal stories to live audiences and spark a new dialogue or new exchange about the dignity of human life.
Well, shucks, that's really powerful. Can you give like some examples of different ways that people see their lives as disposable, how they take advantage of others? Like, I totally agree. Can you just give some concrete examples for me?
A lot of people see their life as like a race to the top, or reach the top level of their company, or they want to have the best grades, they want to be the valedictorian of their class or something like that. It's just a race to the top. They're trying to get to the top. That's what they see as the purpose of their lives. And so in doing that, many times they can take advantage of other people, or you can hit unethical problems if you see your life as only being a race to the top.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, totally.
Or a very concrete example, abortion. Being willing to get rid of another person's life in order to make yours more convenient. Or another thing too is like they see their life as kind of this scary thing, like they're living in this big scary place, and they kind of allow themselves to become paralyzed, and then they don't do much with themselves because they're just afraid. They're afraid of their life.
Like people in general just more surviving life instead of thriving in life? Is that the kind of direction we're talking about?
Yeah, like, so when your life in general, like, it's a big thing, and you're in this huge world, and there's a million things you can do. There's a million opportunities for you. There's a million problems that have to be faced, and that's an intimidating thing. But if you're looking through that lens of kind of like fear and just the unknown, you don't know what's going to happen to you if you kind of take leaps of faith and you take risks, then you'll just end up kind of doing nothing with yourself.
I see.
End up paralyzed.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. That's definitely a struggle. Like in my life, I've definitely taken some scary leaps, and definitely not taken some scary leaps because I didn't want to. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, if you would, what are some methods of your campaign? You mentioned storytelling. Also, in past conversations, you talked about posters. What are your methods of communicating this message of dignity of human life?
Yeah. So my first tactic, I would say, in the bigger strategy, is a poster campaign. And the purpose of this tactic is to just get the word out, get the ideas out there, spread them as far as possible, and begin to form a vast network of people, all types of people. And so the way in which I did this was to create a series of posters. There's 20 posters, and each of them has a statement about the dignity of life, and they're all similar. So life is beautiful, admire it. Life is a battle, win it. Life is painful, bear it. Life is a game, play it. Each of these statements is coupled with a photograph that I took that supports that statement in some way or embodies that statement. And then I coordinated with people around the country in about 16 different locations to put these posters up on the same day, all over their mostly campuses or cities, and to just like kind of bomb these places with posters. It's like a flash mob effect. So it's done at night or really early in the morning, kind of when people are unaware. And then they wake up in the morning and they're like surprised. Well, they see these posters everywhere, and it just has this powerful impact. And all of these are encouraging, positive, universal statements about the dignity of human life. And then at the bottom of each one is links and ways to become connected with the campaign on social media.
Do you have any examples of your posters?
Yeah, I have some. So this is kind of the original one. It's the first one I ever made.
Oh, wow.
I kind of consider this like the title poster. Life is love, give it. And that's my little sister, Pauline. See, life is joyful, radiate it. These are mostly like a couple friends of mine from school and my sisters. Life is strength, show it. And then a couple of them are just the hashtag. Encourage people to get on social media and start sharing it and finding out more about it. Tell your story. This is very story-based. The whole campaign is personal story-based. So if you go on the Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter, then you'll see that I've begun sharing people's stories. So they'll take life is a cross, embrace it, and they're like, oh, I can relate to that because this happened to me and I did this, and they tell me their story that affirms this statement and makes it true and tangible and beautiful. And then I share it with all my followers in the whole network.
It's very cool. I like it. I like it so much. So do you have like a set number of phrases that you're working with, and then people use stories to fill into those, or how does that work?
So it's very, very open because this isn't really just my campaign. I made it for other people to offer to them and to include them in it. That's very important to me, is to include people in this. So the stories are coming from other people. Anyone can send me their story. It's not at all exclusive. And I want people to contribute their own photographs too, or their own statements. And I could even make a poster like the ones that I've already created from other people's photographs and statements. Very much inclusive. It's about humanity in general. It's not about me or a certain group of people.
And so right now, did you say this was a national campaign at this point?
Yeah, so I coordinated with people around the US to do this in 16 different locations. And this is not something to just happen on one day. Anyone can catch on to it and ask me for posters or ask me for the files, and they can just print them off wherever they are and put them up wherever they are. And then actually this was funny because somebody asked me, well, what are you going to do if you get these posters like all over the country? I was like, I don't know, translate them and put them in a different country. And the day after my kickoff of the campaign, which is April 8th, I presented the campaign to a group of people in Egypt through a connection of mine. And they like joined the next day, which was something I wasn't expecting at all, to have it spread that far so fast. So that was really exciting. So I guess it's an international campaign now.
Well, that's so cool. Wow, way to go. Egypt. That's fun. Huh. Well, hello, Egypt.
They're so supportive and enthusiastic.
That's so great. That's so great. You'll have to send me that link so that I can put it in the description and people can posters. Yes. All right. Remember to do that. Well, can you tell us, since this is so story driven, can you tell us your story a little bit and how this all started? What was your original inspiration?
Of course. Okay. So I've been involved my whole life in human rights movements, human rights issues, especially the pro-life movement for the unborn. So that's always had a big influence on me, and I've always wanted to do big things for that, big things for human life, human dignity. And then last year I studied abroad in Florence, and I spent the last bit of my trip in London. And while I was there, I went to the Sony World Photography exhibition. And a lot of these photos were focused on human beings and like the human experience. And some of these were so powerful, so incredibly powerful and beautiful. For example, there was one about this community in some rural part of the world, I don't know where, and they had never had electricity before. And someone gave them these light bulbs that were powered by solar panels. And so the photographs were taken at night, and it showed these people using the light of one light bulb for whatever they were doing. And it's got this string that's attached to a solar panel that they carry around with them. So one was a group of guys playing hacky sack outside with the light of this light bulb on the ground. Another one was a mother taking care of her sick child with the light of this one light bulb. Incredible photos, so beautiful, so powerful, and just affirmed their humanity so much and the beauty of their lives. I had a conversation with my dad afterwards, who was with me, and we thought it would be so incredible if we could start a photo competition that focused on the dignity of human life as we had seen in these photos, and also using statements like captions for these photos from a poem called LifeIs. No one really knows who wrote it, but it goes like, life is beautiful, admire it. Life is a battle, win it. Life is precious, defend it, etc. So we'd couple those together and just have a photo competition that affirmed the dignity of human life. So I was thinking about that for a while. So around the same time, I saw a film called Sophie Scholl, The Final Days, and it's about this girl who lived during Nazi Germany. And she was a student, part of a student resistance group called the White Rose. And what they would do is type out these essays that they wrote onto leaflets. And these essays exposed the truths about the Nazi regime and what they were doing, and the inevitable failure of total war, and the extermination of people in the concentration camps, etc. And they would take these leaflets, print out tons, thousands of them, and send them anonymously to people and leave them around in public places. And so in the film, also, they have a whole bunch of extras at one point. Her brother's like, oh, let's take them to the university and leave them around campus during a lecture period. She's like, that's crazy. It's the middle of the day. That's like suicide. But they decide to go because it's worth it to them. And they leave them all around the campus. They eventually get caught and are executed for it. And I was so moved by that story. And for a while, I was like so upset that I wasn't her. Why wasn't I born Sophie Scholl? Why didn't I live back then? I was so upset because I wanted to be her. But then I realized that things aren't really that different right now than they were then. It's just kind of a different version of it. And it's just our turn to do it. And so we have the opportunity still, even now, even here, to take big risks for an idea, for a truth, not just truth to have for ourselves, but to give to other people. And so that was my other inspiration that had been in the back of my mind for a while. So then this spring, I just had a moment where everything kind of fused together. When I was thinking about my senior art show, I thought, oh, I could do a poster campaign using photographs like the Sony World Photography exhibition, using the statements from that poem, and then printing them as posters and targeting location and kind of like secretly putting them up everywhere to surprise people, like Sophie. It was probably like a few weeks or like a month or so before my show, so I just did all of that in a short time. But it all came together and I got a lot of people to help, and it was super exciting and turned out really well.
That's an amazing story. I love how all these different elements came from such different areas, and yet they all come together so well in your campaign. That's really special. I like that. Wow.
It worked out really well because as an artist, and just something that I've noticed in general, is that we need to give truth to people in a beautiful way. Especially, I think, a weakness maybe of the Catholic Church, of Catholic people, often, not in all cases, when you have the truth, you think that, and you offer a truth to somebody, you think that that's all you have to give them. It's like, it's true, you should accept it because it's true, and you should live this way because it's true. But really, it's not just the truth that's going to change somebody. You have to make it beautiful too. You have to show them the goodness of it, and you have to make that goodness tangible, and you have to move them to change themselves. They have to be inspired and touched in order to change themselves.
Well, yeah, very cool. That's a great point. Thank you. All right. I also, since I really like stories, and since you really like stories, I wanted to ask, you mentioned Egypt as like a special milestone that just kind of came up. Do you have other stories about ways that your campaign has made an impact on people, or that people have joined in? You have stories along those lines?
Yeah, there's a couple beautiful things that have happened. So right away, of course, having the opportunity to bring this to people in Egypt was incredible. And now I just see on the Facebook page the people who are liking it mostly are names that I can't pronounce, which is awesome to me because I want it to be very connective between different groups of people, different types of people. And that's definitely happening right now. And the posters were put up over there too. So you'll see the live posters in Cairo. And something else that was really cool that happened, one of the first stories that I shared was about this woman named Michelle who found out that she couldn't have any kids when she was young and was extremely devastated by it, but met an awesome guy, Chris, and they decided that they would get married and they would adopt kids. So they've adopted a whole bunch of kids through open adoption, which is another unique part, because they know all their birth parents and they know from the beginning that they're adopted, and they visit their birth parents usually at least once a year and have incredible relationships with their families, and they're just a huge giant family because they never cut ties with each other, and their children understand the beauty of adoption as they're growing up, and they know what a beautiful story that they're a part of. So I put that story out, and this woman sent me a message asking me if she could talk to Michelle because she is also wanting to adopt but was terrified of the idea of open adoption, and just needed to talk to somebody about it and ask all her questions and just be affirmed and encouraged. And so I was able to connect her with Michelle, so that Michelle could encourage her to do open adoption and help her get rid of those fears and those inhibitions that she had. So I don't know where that is at this point, but it was pretty cool to be able to connect them.
Wow, that's a crazy story. Wow, cool. Do you have more stories? I'm just gonna keep plugging you until I'm just gonna run you dry of stories. That's what I like to do.
So, because I know one of your questions is like challenges that you ran into or problems that you ran into.
Yeah.
That's what this story is related to.
Do you want me? Why don't I just ask that question?
You want to ask me the question?
Okay. This isn't artificial. All right. Can you tell me, have there been any times that were especially difficult? What are some challenges that you've had to overcome? And what was that like? How'd you overcome it?
There were definitely challenges throughout. Just the whole process of getting everything ready was pretty crazy because I had this idea late in the game, but I decided to run with it anyways. So a lot had to be done in a very short amount of time. And I knew I had to be 100% in it, not 99, not 99.9, but 100%. So lots of little things happened along the way. Like my computer crashed and I lost everything that I had. The camera that I was using to take all the photographs was not working, and 1,000 things. And then finally, I had everything ready. I pulled probably quite too many all-nighters getting everything done, but it was finally finished, and I was so tired but so happy. So it got to the point where I was going to put the posters out. So I had a whole bunch of people helping me, and they all met me in my apartment, and I said, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. And so they were all out there at night putting these posters up, and I didn't see it because I was coordinating everything from my headquarters. And so the next morning I was excited to go out there and see what everything looked like. And I got out like 7:30 in the morning or whatever. And I saw that a lot of them were not where I thought they were. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure Maureen told me that she put them in these spots, in this spot. And I called her. I was like, hey, didn't you say that you put the posters here and there, whatever, on these doors or above this water fountain? She's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, I don't see them there. And I quickly realized that a lot of them were taken down, which I was like confused about because I'd gotten permission from like the president of my school, and operations was told not to take them down or anything because it was part of an art project. But still, a ton of them were taken down. And that was a huge blow for me because kind of the whole idea that I had with the poster campaign was that it was going to be this big statement. Like you walk outside and you see them all over, not in like a trashy way, but they're in a lot of places, and it just kind of hits you like, whoa, where did these come from? What's happening? What is this thing? And it wasn't having that effect. And I was so bummed by that. And I had this moment where I was like really, really discouraged and like, oh, it just flopped. The whole thing flopped. But I just like took a couple deep breaths and I was like, all right, no, that's not the way. Like the whole purpose of what I'm doing is to not think like that, and is to instead see everything in through a positive lens. So I decided to change my attitude right there and to look at it just like, okay, I hit an obstacle there. So what's plan B? Like, how am I going to recover from this? What's my response to this? Instead of just being kind of torn down by it. So then I had also created these postcard versions of it, of the posters, to hand out at my art show. It's like, oh, I'll just print out a ton of those and leave like little stacks of these postcards around, and they're not going to take those down. So that's what I did, and like tons of people have these postcards now. And it still had that really big effect, and a lot of people were talking about it.
Wow, good job. That's so great. Wow. That's impressive. Like for me, I definitely take failures hard, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. You just found a different way. So we might have already mentioned these things, but do you have other high points in starting up this campaign that you'd like to share with us?
So one of my next tactics that I hope to do for this campaign is to start a photojournalism competition, to really bring in that idea of people being very involved and hands-on contributing and creating and expanding this campaign. And so I want to offer like a decent monetary prize for that, because I want it to be very high level and really bringing together this idea of beauty and truth working together. And so I've been hoping to do this and trying to figure out a way to make that happen, and where I would get those funds or sponsorship, because I have not much. So since beginning this campaign, several organizations have become very interested in partnering with me on it, and being a part of it and helping in whatever way that they can. So they've offered to sponsor $10,000 for a prize for that competition. So that's something that's finally like can be in the works, and I can launch that pretty soon, since I have that. So that's an incredible blessing, because otherwise it just wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to consider it.
Wow.
Oh, I have another one. I forgot.
Yes, high point.
So when I had this idea in the beginning, I didn't really know all that it was going to involve. And I talked to some of my teachers about it. They're like, Monica, you need to talk to some people and get some sponsorship, because this is going to be more costly than you think. And this can be bigger than you think. And you're going to have to be really prepared. It's like, okay. And I often get into this mindset of like, oh, I can do it. I'll do it all myself, or I'll get it done. It's going to happen. But when I was researching prices to print the posters, It was incredibly expensive, and I hit this point where I was like, I don't think I can do it. Like, I can't print all the posters that I want to print because I don't have the money to do it. And so I was like, well, I like hit a wall. Like, how do I get around it? I like couldn't really see a way. And I had that evening, I had some friends over for dinner, and I was like, yeah, I just ran into this big problem. I didn't realize how expensive printing was going to be, and I don't have the funds for it. And my cousin's fiance was like, oh, my dad knows a lot of printing companies. I'm going to talk to him. So she right away just gets on the phone, talks to him, says, hey, Monica, how many do you need? I need 1,000. Hey, what size are they? 11 by 17. Do you know? Yes, they're in color. Blah, blah, blah. And then she gets on the phone, and she told me, he's got it. You don't have to worry about it.
Wow.
Like, yeah,
that's so crazy.
I'm going to take care of it. So they ended up getting 1,000 of these posters printed for me as a donation. And that was amazing.
That is really cool. Wow, Shai. Well, can you tell me more? Now that we're talking about like your future, can you tell me more about your future with the campaign? Actually, that wasn't so much future back there. That was more past.
Yeah.
But before that, I'm scattered.
It's okay.
But for now, can you tell me more about the future of your campaign? What's the inside scoop? What's coming up?
So I'm very much working on my next steps for the campaign. Definitely the photojournalism competition will be coming soon-ish. I don't have a date for the launch of that, but that's definitely one of my next steps, something that people should be looking out for, because that's a step that involves other people. That will hopefully help me draw out possible storytellers, people who are willing to tell their personal stories relating to the statements of the campaign to live audiences and have discussions. And a lot of the future depends on not me, but just the general public becoming involved and becoming connected with it. And the poster campaign is an ongoing thing. It's not something in the past. In the future, right now, I want people to be printing these off or getting them from me in some way, and just getting these posters up, just targeting locations and hitting them. And I'll be doing that too. I have a lot with me right now, so I'm going to try to get a bunch up in Chicago, wherever, send some to Montana with my siblings. So that's past, present, and future thing that's happening.
Cool. A question. So we're talking about the poster campaign, and you also talk about in the future having speakers at live events. Can you describe for me how those are going to bridge together, how they're related, a little bit more how speakers are going to, that whole dimension of the campaign is going to look in the future? Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, everything is related through these statements, the campaign statements. Life is beautiful, admire it. Life is a battle, win it. Life is pure, treasure it. That's consistent throughout all of these. The posters say it. The photojournalism competition is going to be about it. Photos and stories about these statements. And then the speakers are going to be telling stories about these statements too.
So they're all tied into these statements in one way or another. Like, that's the core. Yes?
Yes. It all goes back to like the truths that I'm trying to offer to people. The goal of all of this together is to facilitate a widespread change of attitude.
Do you have any idea of what kind of venues these speakers are going to be speaking at? Is this going to be like high school and colleges and young adult groups and adult groups, all of the above, seminars?
All of the above, all the above. Anything that you think of, yes. Schools, events, fundraisers, homes, just random groups of people who want somebody to come and speak to them and have a discussion. Public places. So the photojournalism competition, with what we receive, the photos and the stories that we get through this, I want to make a traveling exhibit that we can take around the country and offer this to people, let people experience it, see it, and kind of like spark discussions about it and talk about the statements that are made and talk about the stories that are told. Be like kind of grassroots public square type thing as well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for too. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. We'll have to work together on something. Another question. So you and I are both Catholic, yes? Does this branch out beyond that? Does it have an ecumenical dimension to it? Does religion enter it into it directly? Like, is it directly affiliated to Catholicism?
Yeah, it's not affiliated with a religion. I want it to be as universal as possible. So actually, because I feel like half of my followers are Muslim now, it's not a Catholic thing that's happening. Though all of these truths are Catholic. Catholic means universal anyways. Yeah, it's not affiliated with a particular group, a particular movement, a particular religion. It's just human truth.
I like it. Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, the point is to like hit everyone on their common ground, establish relationship on the common ground, and then branch it out. And that doesn't mean that you don't talk about Catholicism or the Islam or the pro-life movement. The campaign works from the universal common ground and goes up from there. So all this stuff would be happening in those stories that are told. Actually, one that I hope to put out soon is this young man in Cairo who started a group to promote, it's called Inspiring Egyptians, and just telling the story of these incredible Egyptian people that kind of like breaks the stereotypes of them being terrorists or something like that. So it hits, you can hit all these specific issues, but it's all based on the common ground, universal common ground.
Well, cool. Well, I'm sold. How can people get involved?
Right now, for sure, just become connected with the social media accounts. That's the channels through which I'll be announcing things or talking about the upcoming steps, and through which you can see all the posters and you can read the stories and you can share it with people. It's very much in the hands of the people. It relies on people becoming connected and sharing it. So for sure, becoming connected with the social media, and then keep an eye out for that photojournalism competition. You can either submit something to it yourself or tell people about it, especially your artist friends, your photographer friends, or somebody who you know has an incredible, beautiful story that should be told.
Okay. And did you say, you mentioned earlier that these posters are somewhere where you can download and print them for yourself?
Yeah, so the way that I'm doing that right now, I'm working primarily through Facebook. So if anyone were to send me a message on the Facebook page, say, hey, I want to put posters up in my location. Like, okay, sure, here's the link. And I'll just give the link.
All right. Well, shucks. Okay, hold on. Do I have other questions for you? I don't know if I do. But I'm really liking this. This has been so much fun. I have learned so much here. I suppose that's most of the questions I have thought of. The only other thing I wanted to ask was, can people connect with you personally? Do you have like a Twitter or how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I haven't really thought about this because I actually am like the sole person that's running all the social media. So if anyone contacts me through the social media, they're contacting me personally. So it's called the LifeIs campaign on Facebook, and then on Twitter it's at LifeIs campaign. Same with Instagram. The website, which is in a very primitive state right now, is lifeiscampaign.com. But yeah, people could connect with me personally as well on Twitter, Monica Severance, Facebook. That's fine too. I never really thought about that.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll put links to all those things down in the description, and LinkedIn. Oh yes.
People can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That actually would be good. A good way to partner on stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, that's so cool. Well, thanks so much, Monica. This has been an absolute pleasure for me, and I'm sure for my viewers too. Can I speak on their behalf? I'm going to speak on their behalf. It's been an absolute pleasure for my viewers. Thanks.
Of course, yeah. This is awesome.
All right. Well, for my viewers now, thanks so much for watching. And I guess I don't really have much to say to close, but hopefully this interview goes well and we'll continue to grow our interview program in the future. Monica, my sign off is God bless and ciao. Do you want to say God bless and ciao for all the good people?
God bless and ciao.
Yeah.
Sure. God bless and ciao.
Yeah. All right.
That makes me feel like I'm in Italy again, like last semester or last.
Yeah.
Ciao.
This is kind of an addendum. Do you have a favorite Life Is quote?
I think I probably like my original one, which is "Life is love. Give it." It just works in a lot of ways. Give life, give love, and I think it just really hits like the core of it in general. So that'd be my favorite one, and it's the original picture of my adorable sister Pauline.
So wonderful.